the Wow Studio podcast. And today, this is, first of all, our first podcast in English because we've always done them in Spanish. So bear with me because, my English is not my first language, but let's go ahead and try. I have a very special guest today here, Wendy. She is not only one of our dearest clients that have been supporting our business since the very beginning, but she is a fashion stylist. And this is so cool because a lot of us have, me particularly, I speak for myself, but I'm sure a lot of people relate to this. A lot of us don't really have a clue on what to wear or how to wear it or what pieces to put together to look apart and have a personal style. And that's where Wendy comes into the picture. And she's personally helped me select some nice outfits for different events and just in general. It helps to boost your confidence and you look apart. So there's Wendy here that helps us with that. And I have her as a special guest in our podcast today. So welcome, Wendy.
Thank you.
How you're doing today?
Am I doing this?
Yeah, we can do that. That's
Okay.
very easy. So I have some questions here
Okay.
that I would like to ask you because we see a lot of times people who give us advice on Instagram or, Facebook and all of that, but it's so much different than having a person to talk to inspire women that might be struggling with their sense of style. So a lot of people, well, we love you. You've been our client for a long time. Thank you for your support. But, for all of those that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about you and what is it that inspires you when working in your business, Antidote Styles? Where do you get that inspiration from?
Mm-hmm. Well, one, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
So a little bit about me. I'm born first generation from Peruvian parents. So I am a Latina, but very much raised as an American.
Uh-huh.
So born and raised in South Florida, kind of moved everywhere. And then we finally resided here in South Florida, where at that point I was ready to start my own business. So I've been in fashion for the past probably over 18 years at this point,
Wow.
on and off just doing things. But the inspiration of opening up my own business came from my own experience. It came from a point in my life where I felt very lost and frustrated. I've kind of lost a sense of my own style because after having kids, most moms and individuals kind of lose that sense of identity in a way. And so when Antidote Styles came into play, I wanted to create a community for women where they don't have to feel that frustration again.
I know, because sometimes you go shopping and you're like, oh, I like this shirt, but I don't know if it's going to look good. What do I pair it with? And I know that if I had a problem with that, you've helped me so much. And ever since I got in a couple of styling sessions with you, I definitely not only feel more confident, but people tell me, how good I look, and it makes me feel good too. Being a personal stylist, what does it really mean? What does being a personal stylist mean to you? And how do you see your services helping women?
So me, I would say it's more than just picking out clothes, right? I kind of look at it as two different things. Like you can do transactional styling or you can do transformational styling. I tend to lean more into the transformational stylist when I work with some of my clients. Now, not all clients go for that transformation, but when I speak about transactional, it's you walking into a store and a sales associate or a personal stylist, as they call themselves sometimes, they come up and they say,
I was about to ask you what was the difference.
yeah, like, hey, how are you? What are you looking for? And they may suggest a few items and then you go on with your day, right? And then you may or may not see this person again. But you either walk out feeling like, okay, you got the right item, but you're not sure. But this other person it was more transactional. The transformational part of it entails more of aligning with your lifestyle goals, with where you are currently at as far as mindset, also with your body type. And all of those things combined is what comes into the transformational styling. So again, it goes more into having the women feel more clarity, feeling more confident, and having more control of their wardrobe.
Now, you're a person who always looks apart. I mean, and you've helped a lot of we have a lot of common clients, not just because you've been very nice and referred them to us, but you also are friends with them outside, and then they shop with you, or you give them that advice. But we all have different shapes, different bodies, we're different heights. And you particularly always look amazing. I think you're like the perfect figure to anything you buy is going to look good on you. But how do you deal with someone, for example, that it's a little bit more oversized or maybe a little bit shorter in height, but the trend is, I don't know, maybe longer pants? How do you adjust to all of those scenarios?
Yeah. Okay. So one, it's really trying to find out who they are core wise, like how they feel inside. Because again, personal styling, and again, you're going to hear me say this, it's so much more than just clothing. It's a mindset shift. It's the way how you want to be seen. So the questions I ask is, okay, how do you want the clothes to show for you? What do you want that to resemble when you wear these clothing? And I think I even asked you this question.
Yes.
Like you were going through this rebranding or your brand shoots. Like, well, what exactly do you want to convey to your audience when you wear something? And there were words, right? I was like, what are those words for you?
Right.
So those, once I find that out, then I can lean them towards, okay, maybe they want to be bold. Maybe they want to be creative. Maybe they just want to be minimal and polished. But somewhere in between those lines is where we then identify their personal style. Then we identify not so much of the trends, because it's not trends. It's how you want to feel empowered on what you wear and how you want to show up.
Wow, that's crazy how just coming up with a few words can affect so much someone's style.
Right. And every day, right? Like today it's rainy outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I know I'm going to do this podcast, but I didn't want to wear a blazer. I didn't want to go dressed up all night, but I knew I still wanted to feel put together. So here I am putting my trench coat on, but
And it looks fantastic.
I still, and I have a leisure wear underneath, but I still feel great. I feel empowered. And when you do that, you stand up taller, you speak clearer, and it's just the confidence boost.
Oh my God, it definitely helps. I mean, ever since I got that first styling session with you back in October, like I got a glimpse of what it was. But I think this year, you've been a lot of helped and inspired me to, like, now I make my own choices based on your guidance. So that's really good.
Yeah, and that was just a tidbit, right? Like there's clients that go through the bigger service that I offer because everybody, wants something different. But I'm glad that resonated with
Oh,
them.
for sure. I remember then when we had our styling sessions, the two that we've had, you created mood boards. Can you explain a little bit what that is?
So everybody calls them differently. I call them style boards.
Or a style board? Yeah.
People know them as mood boards. So essentially, it's one of the services that I do offer, and essentially what it is I just, based on what your needs are or what we're styling you for, is I then create these outfits, right? And then I deliver them to you. But again, it aligns with what your goals are, where you want to be, how you want to be seen. So every style board is curated differently for every client.
Okay. And so is that always part of one of your sessions, or can you walk us through what would be, having a session with you, or, what different sessions you have? So I was very clueless. And even at the first time that we met, I was still very clueless. I didn't really understand if I was supposed to do the shopping, you were supposed to do shopping, or, can you explain, if it was someone new, how would you walk him into this new journey?
Yeah. So again, it just really depends on what they're looking for. But if they wanted to do the styling board session, they would have two options. I would deliver the style boards for them, and then based on their decision whether they like it or not, I can then go shopping on their behalf and select all the pieces. We make an appointment at my styling suite, which is not too far from there. And then we do what's on the picture turned into reality.
Nice.
And then you walk out with, maybe one or two outfits that you love. The second option would be you just get the delivery of the style board, but then it's on your own terms on where to shop for this. Now, there are links to them, so it's very easy and clickable. But those would be the two ways if you choose to do the style board sessions.
Okay. And um, how do you find what is it that if somebody just wants to get started with you and they maybe are on a budget, what can you suggest for them to get started? What styling service that you offer would you recommend? Or if they want to do this on their own, what are some key pieces that you would recommend for them to start acquiring?
So let's talk. So key pieces. I mean, I would say let's talk about that because I feel like everybody should know this.
Yeah.
It's really just having the fundamentals, the essentials,
Hmm.
the basics in your wardrobe. So when I talk about that, I'm talking about maybe a fitted blazer, good quality denim, good quality tennis shoes, a jacket, maybe a white tee and one bold statement of a purse, one bold statement of a jewelry. And once you have those, you'll be surprised how much you can intermix and mix and match all of your pieces.
So that would be the core.
That would be the core of how I would recommend anybody, especially, I mean, any client that's signing up with me, I would ask them, okay, do you have these essential pieces? And if the answer is no, then I know that that's where we really need to start
Mm-hmm.
from the fundamentals of an elevated wardrobe.
Oh, I know.
Like a cardigan, right?
Uh-huh.
The one that you're wearing.
Yeah. You sent me with some key jewelry pieces that now I love because I wear them all the time and they look good with every outfit and it looks apart, it looks nice and elegant. So like yeah, having those key pieces definitely I'm sure it helps. What is Wendy's personal style?
Ooh. Oh gosh. I would say it's very traditional and minimal. I do love to be a little bit of the like sensual side.
Mm.
So meaning that I don't mind showing off, maybe a little bit of this, maybe a little bit of legs. There's 7 universal styles out there.
Oh wow.
And so I would say mainly I fall into that traditional realm,
Mhm.
but I don't mind leaning a little bit towards that sense.
So it would be like traditional slash edgy, something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's fun. Well, I've seen you like it's like even when you come out of yoga, sometimes you come here out of yoga and you still look great. I'm like, how did this woman does this? That's
Same for you. That's a very huge compliment.
no, for sure. I mean, I definitely feel like your sense of style is so up there. What fashion brands do you get inspiration from?
Fashion brands.
Or do you don't feel like that is that important?
I don't really follow fashion brands. I mean, there's a lot that I think I invest in, and I would say like good quality jeans. Like there's certain brands like that I would say, okay, I love them and I recommend them. But my inspiration just really comes from how I want to show up. And I think again, that's how I convey to my clients. It's like this whole mind shift. So like I had a styling session. This client of mine signed up to do the signature package, which is you do a color analysis, we dive into your body analysis, we dive into your personal style, like really leaning into learning about that. Then we do the style board, we do shopping, and then we do the closet edit. So she did the entire package. So now she's at the stage of we were trying on the pieces that we shopped for, right? And her attire is just yoga pants and a top every day. That's what she wears.
Mhm.
She's a very relaxed type of gal. So when she was wearing this jean jacket, it was very casual. And she looked at me and she said, "But where am I going to wear this?" And I was like, "Well, let me ask you the question. What do you have coming up the next 5 days?" She's like, "Well, I have coffee, I have like a meeting." But she's like, "I would wear just my yoga pants and a t-shirt. Like I don't need to go dressed up to run to go get coffee with a girlfriend, right?" And I was like, "Well, why?" So again, it's that mind shift. I was like, it's you are the occasion. Shouldn't just wear something because you have an interview, because you have a meeting, because you're going to something special that's in your mind, you should always show up feeling like you deserve that.
Yeah.
Because you're honoring yourself.
I know. And I think I think everybody at one
So I
point.
can go on with this.
No. And I think it's amazing because I think everybody at some point falls into this. I am one. For example, I used to sell fragrances when I was before opening the salon. And there were some special fragrances. They were like bit more high end, and I would not wear them because I was like, no, going to work is not the occasion for this, or not, going to this just lunch with my friend is not fancy enough to wear this fragrance,
Right.
And at the end, I would just let the fragrance sit there until it was no good anymore, So yeah, I can definitely see that it's so important that you feel every day, you want to feel your best.
And and there will be moments that you just wake up and you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to put something, very elevated. But again, if you have those core pieces and those fundamentals in your closet, you will show up every day.
So let's talk about that. Let's say one day you just don't feel like it. You just woke up, it's a rainy day like today, like what you said. And you just didn't have the best night, you didn't have good sleep, but you have something to go to. What would be the one thing that you will never look bad, that you must have in your closet?
A jean jacket.
Oh yeah? Oh wow. Interesting. A jean jacket.
A jean
I thought you were gonna say like a little black dress or something.
No, because if it's a rainy, no, because not everybody wants to wear a dress every day.
Mm-hmm.
A jean jacket, though, it's a layering piece. So you can cover that up with, if you just feel like you're throwing on those yoga pants and a tank top, you can throw on that jean jacket with it with cute sneakers, maybe a nice bangle, maybe a nice, statement earring, nice handbag, and you're ready to go.
Wow. And that immediately will boost your confidence.
Totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, because you are a mom and I'm sure you work with a lot of moms. How do you balance having all of this on your plate? Because now your clients become very dependent on you, especially if they have an occasion that they're getting ready for and time is ticking, but then you also have your kids and they have, practice or go to school or their dentist or whatever. How do you balance that?
So one, it's a lot of support.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, I have a very supportive husband. I have a lot of support from friends and family.
Awesome.
And it's really just having an agenda. Like, I'm a planner. So, I have my month planned out.
That's awesome.
I can't be spontaneous on the spot. I wish I can. Sometimes it works. But for me, for my mental health,
Yeah.
I need to have an agenda. I need to make sure that the appointments are lined up. And yes, things do happen. Like last week, I had my little one sick, and I had to make it work, and we did. But it's finding out what works for you and finding support. I think that's the biggest thing. You can't do this alone.
Right.
So not do it alone.
Speaking of, you mentioned earlier in that you have your background. You're Peruvian, right?
Mhm.
Peruvian. Mhm. In your field, in the fashion world, being Latina, do you think that brings a little spice to what you do, or do you think that's irrelevant?
I think so. I think, our culture has a lot of pride. It's
Mm-hmm.
rich. It's has a lot of like rhythm to it. So I feel like for me, I've learned, especially like growing up with my mom, she has always worked so hard. And because she has so much pride, for me, growing up in a community of resilience, I think shows up on how I communicate with my clients, how I've grew this business of mine. So I would say, yeah, because I want my clients to feel like they are able to be seen, they're able to have confidence on what they wear.
No, and I'm sure that a lot of times, I mean, and this is going back on the confidence and feeling empowered. I'm sure that you probably run across some clients that maybe are having a hard time in their life. Maybe they're going through a divorce and that's why they want to elevate their style, or they're back on the dating game, or they're starting a new job. How do you feel having such an impact in someone's mood and they're in someone's life with the tips and tricks that you give them?
I feel honored,
Mhm.
honestly. I mean, I've had so many different types of clients. Um, and I think it's just and this maybe is another question you want to ask, but the misconception of like, why hire a stylist?
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
So I think it leans into this question as well, is that some women feel like they have to be in a certain place in their lives, whether they are rich, whether maybe it's just for celebrities. But I've had, my thing is, if you're a great stylist, they will meet you wherever you are out in
Mhm.
life. So, yes, I've had many different types of clients, and it's just an honor. They trust me, they confide in me. A long time ago, a few years back, there was a client that I would come in her closet because she just wanted outfits. Like, there was nothing wrong with her style. She just wanted me to come and create outfits for her.
Mhm.
But a big part of this was that she needed a friend. And she was like, "You're like my closet therapy friend."
That's awesome.
And I was like, "Oh, so again, it's whatever the client is really feeling.
Yeah.
I show up for them and I want them to be seen."
Yeah. And going back, because I was leaving that question that you mentioned for a little bit closer towards the end, because now I've seen apps, that there's apps out there
Yeah.
to help you create a style and all of that. And everything now is getting digitalized.
Mhm.
How, what would make a client, I mean, obviously it's more personal, but why do you think it's so important for a client to just have that human touch versus having an AI robot helping you choose your style?
Right. So one, I would say, it's just that human connection. I think
Mhm.
it's just understanding them, right? Like, I don't think you would have that very close relationship connection with an AI app.
Mhm.
It's great, it's easy, it's fast, I'm sure it's affordable. But when you work with me, you gain a relationship with me. It's a long-term relationship. I really understand the needs that you want. So again, it goes back to the lifestyle of where you want to be in life, where you want to be seen, and how I don't think the apps or any, and I'm speaking for myself, that you're not going to get the sense of clarity, confidence, and control like
Mhm.
you would if you work with me.
Mhm. Yeah, it's totally. I mean, it's the same thing I say, when I started my business, I always thought, because I started my business almost 10 years ago, and I always said, you know what? People can buy anything online. They can buy yachts, houses, even an island online, but they can't buy a good mani pedi. Online. That's something they can't buy online. So it's the same thing. I've seen you've done events here and you actually go and measure people instead of, I'm thinking in an app, it would be just be guessing a lot of stuff.
More generic.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's more
definitely.
generic. So I nothing against that. Like, I feel like if that works for you, then absolutely try it. But I think with me, again, that's that one-on-one interaction where you don't really get that other than just sitting down and having a coffee with me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, it's definitely different. That human touch cannot be replaced. Now, speaking of our relation here as you being a client of our salon,
Yeah.
do you have any fashion or advice on, for instance, what shape of nails people should wear, or length, or colors for it to also blend in with like their fashion?
I don't. I leave that to you. You're the expert.
Okay, all right.
No, I mean, I think that's personal preference.
Okay, so it's not like when you see someone that has like super long nails, you don't tell, "Oh, honey, you have to cut the
I
nails."
mean, yes, it depends on the length, but no, most of the time that's more personal
Okay.
preference. if we're talking about like photo shoots, if we're talking about like a special occasion that you're having to go, like, of course, if you have a brand shoot, don't show up with like red nails if that doesn't represent you, right? So yeah, so I think in that sense, I do have a little bit of advice, but majority of that, it's personal preference.
Yeah. What you did tell me at the beginning that the main inspiration was that you were feeling a little bit frustrated. But now that you're already, you already have your business established, you have a styling, like her studio's amazing, guys. If you haven't, first of all, we're going to share all of your social media and your information so people can contact you. But now, where did you find that nurturing inspiration?
It was just time. It was, I mean, the loss and frustration happened right after I had Bryce, my first child. And I think he was about 8 months when we moved back from Luxembourg. Oh, he lived in Europe for years, and then we moved back. And it was like a very chaotic time for both me and my husband. We pretty much started everything from scratch when we moved back. So if I reflect almost 9 years ago, no, sorry, 7 years ago, where we were at to today, we've succeeded so much, right?
That's awesome.
And and we did it together.
That's great.
But in that time, I didn't know if I was going through postpartum depression. I didn't know, because that's, let's just say how it is. That's reality, could happen to most moms. So I didn't know if that's what I was feeling. I had to go through therapy. But it was what was happening was, it was that sense of, I guess, identity, because my entire life I loved getting dressed. I loved going shopping. Like that was just me. I went to fashion, I went to Florida State, graduated with my fashion merchandising degree. My career started in fashion, but that identity got lost when I became a mother.
And I'm sure so many people can relate. They lose their passion because they don't know if they should be moms or if they should continue doing this.
Right. And it's hard. And I've been in that boat. So going through multiple sessions of therapy, and I'm an open door, like, it just came down to like the way that I showed up every day. And it was just over time, because we also came back with like maybe like 5 boxes and 2 suitcases. So my wardrobe, like my clothing was like nothing.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, my daily attire was just leggings, and I would just throw on a top, and I would just get out the door. Like I really didn't feel like I needed to dress up for anything. And
as most of us feel, because I know I feel like that a lot of times that I'm making an effort.
Yes. And so over time, I elevated my wardrobe. It didn't happen overnight. But as I started this business, I was like, no, like I deserve this. And every woman should feel that empowered, should feel like you're honoring yourself, because fashion is a way to self-expression, and it should tell a story.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I never see, we all see just a pretty outfit, but there's so much behind it,
So much more.
Wow, that's amazing. Before we wrap it up, because I know me personally, I don't like to do my podcast too long. I feel like after a while, you just like, it's just too long. But what do you want to tell people, for example, that are considering hiring a stylist? We already talked about how the factor of them being that they can feel more empowered or more confident, that if they're going through something, it's definitely going to help them feel better overall. But what invitation you want to make people to that is considering hiring you or any stylist? How do you think that will benefit him?
I think it's just really being true to themselves. Like if just like you need a hairstylist, just like you need a nail technician, I feel like everybody should deserve a personal stylist. And just remember that you don't need to be in a certain place in your life to do this for yourself. I think it's okay to give yourself permission. It's okay to indulge in yourself and invest in yourself. So yeah, so I welcome all conversations.
Okay, that's awesome. If people want to reach out to you, can you please share how they can get in touch with you? And I'm gonna ask our editing guy to please put it also on the screen. But where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. It's Antidote Styles. And then they can find me my website. It's antidotestyles.com. And then also I have very good Google reviews. So
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. I know because you definitely, Wendy, are very inspiring and I've known you for a while and I not only you are always so polished, so well put together, but you're an amazing, very kind person. I know that we go, years back and we can both see each other how we've been growing, right? You can see me and I can see you definitely when you started. I even remember one time I contacted you, but then COVID happened.
It happened. It was like the week later.
Oh, yeah, I know, and I was so looking forward to. So this is something that's been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. When I went to Tony Robbins, they said, because this happens to me, and I'm sure maybe you might feel like that sometimes. That sometimes you just feel like you're getting a little bit stuck because you don't feel like you're moving. You're like, oh, come on, like, but I've been here for so long. I'm ready to move on. But when you look back and you see all the compound effort, and now you're like, oh, crap. Yeah, I was over there 2 years ago and look at me now. So, like, I can definitely see the growth. And I wish you the best. Your styling suite is amazing and your sense of style is fantastic too. There's nobody that I would recommend that I personally know to take care of the fashion needs more than you. Thank you for being with us, Wendy. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
This was amazing.
Hopefully we can have you again. Wait, quick question. Have you ever styled a celebrity?
No.
No? Okay, celebrities out there, this is a call. You got to have Wendy in your team, okay? We'll get you a celebrity girl. All righty. Thank you so much,
All right,
Wendy. We
thank
love
you.
having you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.